All right, so we talked about 3 possible ways you can take this cylinder project. Actually 4. One is the simplest. This is just a cup with no handle, just a drinking cup or a vase. You can make the handled cup, you can make the lidded jar, and lastly, if you want to make something decorative, you can make this into a lantern that you could put a candle in and let the light kind of come out of some cutouts and like shine really pretty patterns onto the table. So at that point, we're not trying to make a functional jar anymore. So you can play with cutting away at the rim, making it scalloped or zigzags or any kind of shape or pattern. You can carve designs into it, you can carve pictures into it. The one thing you need to do is just keep them simple enough that they will carve out without losing detail. So it's hard to make really detailed things while carving out of the clay. So to start with, I'm going to scallop the rim here. So here we go. I want to just do this freehand. Just take my needle tool and I'm just going to draw the lines in first and then we'll go and cut them away. I'm going to find the base of my last curve, a nice steady arc, make another big scallop. Find the base of my last curve, a nice steady arc. I'll make a smaller scallop just to make things interesting. And one more small scallop to connect them together. So there's the rim. I'm going to go ahead and cut that away. So now I'm pushing my needle tool all the way through, following the line that I just drew. So if I was to cut this away, I could actually pull this off. I'm going to wait till I get all the way around the ring. Following my line, my needle tool is all the way through the clay. A nice smooth motion. So you want your clay to be a good leather hard, but if it's too hard, it's going to be pretty difficult to do this. If you see all these rough burrs, don't worry about them. We will smooth them in at the very end. So I can just break off the scraps as I finish them. I'm going to finish this curve. See what I just did there? Bouncing my tool up and over the scallop, pulling out the last one. So if you look at it, that's a really cool top. So I'm not trying to drink out of it or anything. I can be really creative with the rim of this lantern. I'm not even gonna worry about smoothing these until we finish all of the cutouts, and we'll smooth everything together. So now you can do a lot of planning. You can make a stencil so that every mark you make around the surface is the same, or you can go freehand and just kind of respond from one mark to the other. So I'm going to start by maybe making like a floral form. So I'm going to make a few simple flower petals, one that curves up into the curve of that scallop, just thinking about how that would look really good together. So it kind of bounces up into that arch. I'm going to make the little circle here for the middle. And if you drop a piece into the cup, you can just shake it out. So I've got my first teardrop petal, the middle of the flower, my second teardrop petal, I'm not going to do too many petals. I don't want to weaken the wall too much. If you do too much carving, there'll be more holes than there is wall. And actually having fewer carvings helps you to actually get like the joy of the lantern, which is the light shining through. It helps you to be able to notice that and see that better if it's less. Less is more sometimes. So I might just do 2 flowers, one on each side, and then some sort of really simple design kind of on the middle portions between the 2 sides. So roughly there's 1 flower. And do the same thing on the other side. So here I've got the point of 2 scallops. So I could get creative and change my flower design, or to where it kind of matches into those 2 loops, or I can just kind of continue in that pretty straight oriented design. I think for variety, I'm going to change it. Oop. That was just a mark, so I can erase that by just smudging my finger over it. When it's a full cut, that'll show up again in the end, but if you just scratch the surface, you can smooth it back. So there's a hole for my middle. Here's a teardrop flower petal. Here's a teardrop flower petal. And again, they're really rough, but I can spend a lot of time smoothing it at the very end. I just want to show you making the cutouts, and then we'll move quickly through the cleanup process, just to let you see how that's done. Teardrop. So there's my other flower. So I got these spaces in the middle here. I could just do let's just do a few circles pulled out, just to let some light out of these two sides, but not try to overdo the design on the inside. So 3 little circles running down the side. We'll let some little fun circle light patches come out. Three little circles. All right, so those little guys drop to the bottom here. You can actually take your needle tool point and just lightly stab them, and you can fish them out of the bottom if your hand can't reach them. Fishing them out. All right, so roughly there is a lantern. I'm gonna do a little time lapse of just cleaning things up, but basically what I'm gonna do is I can take this tool and just the blunt side of it, running over those edges, it'll pick up a lot of those little rough burrs, and I can clean them off the tool and start to achieve a smoother surface. So then now that I've done the top of those arcs, I can go to the side of those arcs using that same tool and clean off all those little burrs. I'm just letting my tool scrape them away. So you can see how much better that one looks already. And then once you finish all of that, you can take your finger and just finish softening and smoothing those edges. All right, so roughly there's a lantern. That would be really pretty if you have a tea light in there, or if you have those little battery operated like twinkle lights. You could put a little bundle of them in there and let it shine out without using fire. But that's a really fun project for a decorative thing in your home. So there is your lantern. I want to go clean that up now. And we can talk more about all of these when we meet together for a live video. If you have questions that are specific to something you want to try to do, we can do them then. But I would just say, go ahead and experiment. I would pick one track and make one piece, and at the end of this session of class, if you have leftover clay, go back and try new things. We can also build these skills on top of each other, so as you do the next project, you can try something you didn't get to try on this one on the thing we're making next. But let's make sure you save enough clay. Just use the clay we talked about for this project so that you have enough left over to finish all the projects we have scheduled. All right, thank you so much for your attention, and I look forward to meeting you guys all in live video.